All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty cool.
All right.
It's IQ.wiki and their August 2024 ecosystem report.
Yeah, their ecosystem report this month is really interesting.
They're doing some seriously impressive stuff with blockchain and AI. For those who haven't heard of them,
Right.
IQ is building towards a future where you have this decentralized Wikipedia,
Yeah,
but it's supercharged by AI, so...
that's a good way to put it. And this report gives us a really good snapshot of how they're actually tackling that challenge, because it is a big challenge.
Yeah, and it seems like they're laser focused on the user experience and making things really accessible right from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, take their AI chatbot, IQ GPT, as a prime example.
Right.
They launched it this month as a progressive web app,
Oh, wow.
which means basically you can have this thing on your phone,
Right.
ready at a moment's notice.
Wow, that's like having a blockchain expert on speed dial, right?
Exactly.
24/7 in your pocket.
Yeah, you're never going to have to dig through endless Google search results for like 5 hours trying to figure out what something is.
Exactly.
You've got this AI-powered encyclopedia that can explain, like, break it down
Yeah.
on the fly.
And it's not just about having access to the information,
Right.
but it's about how that information is actually presented.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. It needs to be easy to understand.
Well, and that's where their decision to integrate IQ GPT
Yeah.
into over 95, like, Telegram and Discord groups.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's huge.
That is huge. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
They're meeting users where they already are, you know? Like they're weaving themselves into the fabric of the crypto community in a way that makes sense.
And the fact that projects can customize it with their own documentation, that's pretty amazing.
It is. Imagine, like, you're in a Telegram group for, like,
Yeah.
a specific DeFi protocol.
Right.
And you've got this AI chatbot in there that can pull up any document
Right.
instantly,
Yeah.
any piece of information related to that project.
It's like a game changer for community engagement and knowledge sharing.
Yeah, it really could be.
Yeah.
This is, I think, a really smart approach because it tells me that IQ gets it right.
Yeah.
They understand the need for tailored,
Right.
very specific information. In the crypto world, it can't just be like, here's everything, good luck.
It's overwhelming, yeah.
It is.
It has to be very specific and very targeted.
Exactly. And tailored to, like, your immediate needs. Like, what are you trying to do right now?
Yeah.
How can we get you that information as quickly and efficiently as possible?
Right. Now, speaking of information, let's talk about something that honestly sounds a little bit like it's straight out of a sci-fi novel to me.
Okay.
DPIN, right?
Yeah.
Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network.
Yes.
In August, they welcomed a bunch of new projects on the platform. One of them is called Loxodrome.
Okay.
It's described as the first, quote, V33DX on the IOTEX blockchain specializing in DPIN. Now, I'll be honest, I had to read that a couple of times.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Before I felt like I understood any of the words that I was saying.
Okay, well, let's unpack it, right?
Yes, please.
DPIN, like you said, Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. Kind of a mouthful. But when you break down the actual concept, it's surprisingly simple.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
All the physical infrastructure that powers our world today,
Right.
energy grids,
Right.
data centers, telecommunications networks, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
DPIN's goal is to decentralize these systems using blockchain technology
Okay.
so that we can create more resilient, more efficient, more accessible infrastructure for everyone.
So instead of these systems being like controlled by a small number of very large companies, we have a system where it's individuals and communities kind of like all chipping in.
It's the democratization of it all, right?
Yeah.
It's taking these centralized systems that we've all come to rely on, maybe not love, but rely on, and then saying, well, what if we could make this better?
Wow, that's a pretty radical idea.
It is. It is.
Okay, and so how does this Loxodrome thing fit into all of this?
Well, Loxodrome is interesting because they're focused on building a decentralized exchange, a DX, specifically for DPIN assets.
Okay, so DPIN is the big idea, and then Loxodrome is
The financial infrastructure.
to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. What about this V3 back 3? That sounds like some sort of secret code.
Like a mathematical formula.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's actually not that secretive. When
Yeah,
you
right.
get down to it,
Yeah.
V3 refers to a specific type of tokenomics model. It's designed to incentivize long-term participation and governance within the protocol.
So people who are in it for the long haul.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting.
It rewards them for sticking around, essentially.
So if DPIN is about building like the decentralized future,
Yeah.
then V33 is about making sure those systems are actually going to last.
Sustainability.
By rewarding the people who are actively participating.
It's the glue.
Yeah.
That holds it all together.
Okay.
And this is where IQ.wiki's role as like this knowledge base becomes so important.
Okay.
Because they're not just like reporting on these developments, right?
Right.
They're taking the time to explain these concepts, break them down.
Yeah.
So that regular people
So it's accessible.
Can understand it. It's accessible. Exactly.
Right.
And that's going to be, that education piece is huge.
It's like they're building an encyclopedia for the decentralized future.
Yes.
Report by report, article by article, glossary term by glossary term.
I love that, the encyclopedia for the decentralized future.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
But they're not stopping there. They've got a bunch of other stuff that they're working on as well. One thing that really struck me when I was reading through this report was just how much emphasis they put on education.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, they're not just building these tools and just kind of like leaving it up to us to figure it out.
Right.
They're really trying to make this whole world of blockchain and AI more accessible.
Well, and I think they realize, more than a lot of other projects in this space, that knowledge really is power.
Right.
Especially when you're dealing with something that can be so complex and often like filled with jargon, right? It can be intimidating, right? Even for people who've been in it for a while.
Yeah. Let alone someone who's just hearing about this for the first time. So I think their approach to education is really smart.
Well, and a perfect example of that is their Glossary of the Week series that they're doing on X.
Yes.
Every week they break down a different crypto term.
I love them.
In a way that like anybody can understand. They've covered things like depend, multi-sig wallets, like even going back to basics, like what is an ICO?
It's smart because it brings everybody up to speed.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can kind of dive into the more complex stuff.
Exactly. Because if I'm just hearing about blockchain for the first time,
right,
and you immediately hit me with all this technical jargon,
right, I'm gone.
I'm checking out. Yeah, exactly. It's too much.
Yeah.
So by breaking it down into these like bite-sized pieces of information,
it's digestible.
Yeah, it's digestible.
Yeah.
It makes you want to learn more, which I think is really cool.
It goes back to that thing. It's not about just throwing information at people. It's about how you present it.
Exactly.
It's about making it engaging, making it fun.
Okay, so it's not all like definitions and glossaries.
Right.
They're out there in the world,
Yeah.
They attended some pretty major conferences in August.
They did. Coinfest Asia. And Rare Evo in Las Vegas.
Which are both like big events, right?
Huge. So it tells me that they're serious about, 1, networking, 2, collaborating with other projects, and then 3, just kind of like, staying current, staying on the cutting edge. Like, they're not content to just like build their tech in a bubble.
It's easy to do that, though.
It is. But it's important to go out there and actually talk to people.
Absolutely.
Get that FaceTime.
Well, and you start to see what other people are building, and the connections you make at these events can lead to...
Right, those partnerships.
Yeah, like really interesting collaborations down the line.
So it's all part of this ecosystem building.
Exactly. Which they talk about a lot, and they should.
Yeah, and speaking of building, the report also mentioned that IQ is hiring.
Yes, they are. Which is always
a good sign.
A really good sign.
Especially in this space where things move so quickly.
It shows that they're growing.
Yeah.
And they're ambitious, and they think that the work that they're doing is important enough to,
It's like they're putting their money where their mouth is. Right. Exactly. So they're hiring specifically for their marketing team. So if you know any blockchain wizards out there who are also marketing masterminds, send them their way because it sounds like a pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah. If you want to work with a company that's really at the forefront of what's happening in this space, definitely check out IQ.
Okay. So we've got AI chatbots, decentralized infrastructure, a dedication to education, conference appearances, and now a growing team.
It's a lot.
This August report really paints a picture of a project that is firing on all cylinders.
It really does. It does. But there's one more element from the report that we haven't really touched on yet. Okay. And I think it might be the most interesting one.
Okay, you got to tell me more. What is this last piece?
So we've talked about the AI tools and all of the infrastructure developments, but IQ is also making some really interesting moves when it comes to community governance and knowledge curation.
Okay.
And, this goes back to the accessibility thing.
Right.
They're really thinking about their governance structure.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I do remember reading something in the report about a social forum that they're building.
Yes.
Which is powered by AI.
Yeah, it's specifically for IQ holders.
Okay.
to discuss and curate like crypto news and stuff.
Interesting.
Which I think is super cool because it creates this really interesting feedback loop.
Right. So it's not just voting on proposals.
Exactly. It's like it's active, right? They can go in there, they can discuss industry trends, they can upvote like important news items, they can even contribute to the IQ.wiki knowledge base, all within this forum.
So they're shaping the direction of the platform.
Yes, exactly.
By what they choose to focus on.
100%. So they're not just building a product, they're building a community.
Which is huge, right? Because then that ensures that the knowledge base is staying relevant.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving, it's up to date.
It's interesting. It really does kind of feel like, and I know we've been hinting at this throughout our conversation today, but it's like, is this the key?
Right.
Is this what's going to lead to like mainstream adoption, making this information accessible?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think that's the question, right?
Yeah.
Is it just about making this information accessible?
Yeah.
And having these AI tools that are actually easy to use and intuitive?
Right.
I don't have the answer to that. But I think what IQ is doing is really interesting.
Well, and they seem to think that that's the answer, at least based on everything that we just talked about. From the AI chatbot integrations to the Glossary to the governance forum.
It's true. They're putting a lot of emphasis on it, which makes me think that they're onto something.
It's like they're laying the groundwork for a future where understanding blockchain technology is just like as normal as using the internet is for us today.
And using it, right. Like it's one thing to understand it conceptually.
Right. But
being able to actually use it and interact with it.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing.
This whole other ballgame, for sure.
And they're tackling both of those things, which I think is, again, really smart.
It is. They're not just building products.
Right.
They're really cultivating an entire ecosystem. Yeah.
Well, and there you have it.
There it is.
We covered a lot today, from AI chatbots to decentralized infrastructure.
We went everywhere.
To governance, to the future of knowledge sharing.
The whole gamut.
If you are even a little bit curious about the potential of blockchain and how this all ties in with AI, do yourself a favor.
Please.
Check out IQ.wiki.
Check them out. It's fascinating.
Take a look around, explore their ecosystem, because honestly, it's pretty mind-blowing.
It's a glimpse into the future.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay curious.